Hello and happy Thursday, everybody. It's Josh here with On the Wrong Lead. And yeah, we got a fun little show for you guys. We got, hey, the first weekend of Saratoga. Everyone's in a good mood. Everyone made a ton of money today. I'm sure Caleb bet his best bet at 9-1 because he is not a man who would, single a 9-1 horse, not win bet it, and, lose to some 3-5 later on in the sequence. That's not something Caleb would do. Right, Caleb? You win bet it?
That has never happened to me. I don't know what you're describing. No, I did not win bet it today.
God blesses me either.
Yeah, I was real busy with work and I didn't really have time. And honest to God, I thought the horse would take a lot more money. I mean, I even tweeted earlier, like you probably get like half that morning line, but very surprised he went off like 7-1. I did play a pick three. I played one pick five today for real cheap, and then a cheap pick three. So I singled the one on the pick three in the payoff leg. So I did hit that for like $140. So I did make money today, but I didn't bet very much at all.
Yeah. Oh, and shout out to David already hitting us with a super chat saying good luck this weekend, positive vibes. Thank you, David. We got a lot of guys in the chat already. Ryan H is in here saying he's going to be waiting patiently. I see Road Warriors in here already. Steven saying, hey, surely Mark will start on time. I think we started on time. Close enough. Uncle Sully talking about singling, running with scissors. Thanks a lot, Andrew. Poor Andrew, not going to be here. Neither is Mark, who also, I don't know. I'm assuming this is a stray from Russ saying, look at the will pay for the pick five at Canterbury. And Charles in chat as usual. Hello, guys. Yeah, I was just talking to our guest before this that. I'm really, really salty because, first of all, Caleb, you messaged your pick for our article last night, and that was the same horse I was going to use, and I just couldn't use the same horse, for content reasons. I think I even mentioned it in my little write up. But the other single horse I had was in the next race, which was that 4, and I already forgot the name of it. It was that speed horse, Sea Cottage, I think it was.
Yeah, that's right.
That was a $33 double for $1. That I just left on the table there because I was in meetings all day and in trainings, and I couldn't get my bet down. But of course, like a good degenerate, I did get my losing pick fives in before, and not that double with the 2 singles. So I made sure to lose the maximum and win the minimum, which I think is the
that's the on the wrong lead way.
That is the on the wrong lead way. Speaking of the on the wrong lead way, as in someone who found his way out of on the wrong lead, Mr. Chase Sessoms, the Wolf of Oak Lawn. The notorious OTB.
I'd prefer it if you didn't add superfluous R's to the names of my podcasts.
Well, I would prefer if you didn't add superfluous R's to your ads.
Oh, whatever. Okay, that'll work. That's good enough. That's really close enough for jazz.
Don't even worry about it, Chase, because Mark this morning hits me with you should really check your grammar on your article. And if you're getting boomed by Mark on grammar at 6 a.m., that's just a real tough pill to swallow. Mr. Loose and lose in chat all the time, and so I've been there, done that. Chase, how are you doing?
I'm good. I'm fucking exhausted after the last couple days and doing content and handicapping and everything, and it was it's fun. I'm here. I'm glad to be here. Sorry, that tone wasn't good. I'm glad to be here, guys. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, no, I'm glad you're able to fill in on kind of a short notice. Mark let us know he wasn't going to be here, and so we had to make sure we got someone who would also trash his character as well as we do. So, and of all of us, Mark has only left his mark on one couch. among the three of ours, and it is definitely the dent that he left
Yeah.
in yours there, Chase. So
You have to consider just how like physically strong his butt cheeks are to actually leave a lasting impression into. It wasn't a memory foam. This foam has no memory. It does not have a history. But well,
it seems like it does have a memory.
yeah,
It's
yeah,
a nightmare.
yeah. It's post traumatic stress.
Oh man, but yeah. So I don't know. And you guys hit anything today, Chase? Chase or Caleb? I don't know. I whiffed on everything except for a small exacta. So you
I
know,
had two winners on the card. One of them was Salima with an exacta that paid way better than I think it really should have, because I think I got $17 for that for $1. And then I had the winner with Dust Devil the next race, which was, I hit some strong opinions. I also got like infuriatingly short on a couple with like fucking Sea Cottage running away. God, just how do you?
ooh,
Which
I did see one of our good friends, Sweet Sassy John Massey's in chat here. He's saying hi, all y'all. And Chase, you already got a humongous compliment in chat. Stephen Fox saying Chase with an overwhelming surplus of dignity.
no doubt, no doubt, no doubt.
Yeah. But
I want
yeah,
my own little penny doll like they had in that music video, by the way.
so we're not going to talk about tomorrow's card too much, but it did seem I was on the train on the way home when that last race went off. It looked like the heavens just opened up and it just got Saratoga just got pummeled with rain for a bit. So I think we were kind of talking. No, we wouldn't really be surprised if stuff comes off tomorrow, right?
Yeah,
That's my guess. Yeah. We'll see if it comes down anymore overnight, but they got a lot of rain in a short period of time this afternoon, so I'd guess they're off tomorrow. Hopefully, they stay on for Saturday.
if anything doesn't come off, I think it's probably the Coronation Cup. The one turf stake, but that's still dicey too, I think.
Yeah, but yeah, we got a fun card I think here to handicap, which is the Saturday card. We're gonna go ahead and take a look at the late pick 5 here, starting in not race 6 but race 7 here. We have a 5.5 furlong turf sprint. We're going to be going optional claimers for fillies and mares, 3-year-olds and up, which have never won $18,000 twice. All this other nonsense. You can read the fine print. But Chase, as our guest, I will let you take first crack at this race. Where did you land?
I kind of thought that maybe I needed to look at a off the pace horse in this race. I went ahead and threw out, which I think was the morning line favorite or close to it, with the one playlist, and I zoned in on the 3 bowl of cherries for the obnoxiously hot David Jacobson. And I also used the 7 Tracy Ann's Legacy for Joseph Orsino with Jose Ortiz up. I think at this stage in the day, especially if it keeps raining, I don't know how good of a seal they'll be able to keep on this. So I could see it hit a point where your early speed isn't necessarily cruising. Also, I mean, today without moisture, it played pretty fair, I think, to the pace. So I really like those 2 shots. If I drop out, don't throw a run style at it, just throw run style prices at it with Bullet Cherries and Tracy Ann's Legacy.
Okay, Caleb, where did you kind of land here?
Yeah, so I kind of went a different direction. And overall, looking at the sequence, it feels pretty chalky to me. I feel like every time I say that, it bombs out completely. So who knows what'll happen? But in this one anyway, this was the one leg I thought you could maybe find a price, and I really like this 5 in here, Lady Milagro. Because when I looked at this race, I didn't see a ton of speed. I mean, you have some maybe speed. I mean, we'll see what Sias does on the 2-horse, maybe with first time in Wesley Ward Barn. Probably would expect it to show a little more speed than she's historically shown. Playlist has a little speed, but probably can't go with the 5. I mean, really, if anybody goes with the 5, it's probably the 6, Glitter Up, and I'm just not convinced that she's quick enough to do so. Lady Milagro only has 4 turf starts, but out of those 4 starts, she has 2 wins. 2 of her 3 wins, actually, in her career have come over the turf. And she's really fast. I mean, she ran a very quick race last time. and just went too fast early. I mean, 21:44 going 6 furlongs at Belmont. That's a tough for to win like that. She probably went a little too fast early. You have to be a little bit forgiving with these apprentice riders, but on the whole, Jamie Torres has been a very good rider on the New York circuit over Aqueduct and Belmont, and he rides speed horses pretty well. So I think if he can ration her speed a little bit better in here, and I think the cutback from a Belmont 6 furlongs to a Saratoga, a sharper turned 5.5 furlongs, to me, I think that's going to be huge for this filly. So I really liked Lady Milagro in here. We'll see what the track does, how soft the turf really is, but I think she has a big chance to take him gate to wire in here. And if you're a time form player, she is significantly the fastest horse in this race.
Yeah, I mean, I landed right in the same spot, and sorry, I don't know what the heck happened. My camera just like moved, but yeah, Lady Milagro, I thought in this spot was loomed pretty large. If you looked at the
Is that what signify your homemade anarchy graffiti
Well,
signifies?
you know, it's just some weird thing I started doing where, like, if I have something marked down as an A, and then all of a sudden, someone better looking and more bearded than me also has that horse as their top pick, I circle it.
Thanks, man.
But
I really appreciate you saying that.
it also would help if I pulled the right program, so I'll have to grab the right optics there. But on optics, what I really saw in this race, and mind you, this is before scratches, right? So MTOs will show up in the plot. But really, it looked like the 5 and the other horse, which is the MTO, the 8 Quick Money, were these kind of way alone in Q1, and there was nothing else. There was nothing else close. So with the 8 being an MTO and not being in this race, if this is on the turf, I really think that there's a huge shot that the 5 just gets loose in here. And a loose horse on a 5.5 turf sprint is very, very tough to beat. So I landed in the same at the same spot as you did there, Caleb. As I get the correct plot up here.
Now, I will say, if this stays on the turf, I actually really like my bowl of cherries and Tracy Ann's, whatever the hell, a little bit better, because I got to think that it means that turf is a little bit boggy. And honestly, I think that it's going to be just brutal on early speed.
Yeah, and that could be. I will definitely take a shot, because in here I pulled the plot back up. But basically, just pretend that 8's not there. That 5 is going to be lone Q1, not a square. So it's not. I wouldn't be surprised if the 5 does get caught. Unfortunately, at least the way I kind of looked at it on first pass, if the 5 does get caught, I think that there's a good chance that it is going to be the one playlist that is the one that catches it. Didn't run well going 5.5 here at Saratoga, first time out, and was a very, very short price. But it just seemed like it took this one a couple times to get it right, and broke its maiden going at Turfway, going 6 at Turfway, and came back in an allowance race and was a humongous price for a Wesley Ward turf sprinter at Ellis, where she won at 19-1. So interesting. It didn't look like the public thought much of the horse coming into the race, but I think Playlist is in here with a really big shot. I think his run, at least that Ellis figure, is humongous on Briz. I don't know what it looks like on other on Timeform or DRF, but I would not be surprised whatsoever if this one Playlist won. So kind of Chase, I think that does make me kind of maybe take a closer look at Bowl of Cherries. I was a little bit concerned about the horse not really running on turf recently, but you get IRAD rides for David Jacobson, and they're winning at 47% right now, last 2 months. So that might be one to maybe take a closer look at, especially if you do think that something from off the pace is going to come. Breeze Easy. Oh, go ahead, Chase.
I'm going to give you one knock on Playlist. It's coming off of that huge Brisnet 98 figure on the turf at Ellis Park. I think honestly, it's a fade, this next one, because it got its my favorite little dirty little pig boy angle. It got its all weather to any other surface pop right there, and now it's spent. It's got refractory period. It's got to recharge.
Okay,
I will
what
say
do
that on time
She's got to
form,
recharge.
that fig is not nearly as big. Time form gave it a 102, which is actually not good enough to win this race. Actually,
Interesting.
Puts it in the conversation. But there's about 4 other horses that have run that fast. But yeah, I'm not sure what the right figure is, but that's just another point of contention.
Were there any other horses?
12 parsecs.
Yeah, I was gonna say also it's kind of funny that there is a horse named Bomb Diggity in here with Steven's earlier comment.
No doubt.
What do we think that horse is doing in here? I mean, it's weird, right? I've literally on my PPs I've written why on this horse because it's still owned by Stone Street Stables, who sends literally everything to Asmussen, and it looks like this was some kind of a private trainer switch. I mean, it was never claimed or anything. The horse clearly went south after that allowance win back in May of last year. Comes in off of a huge layoff and then comes back in what's a pretty weird spot, especially when you consider Wesley Ward already has a runner. I mean, is this horse just in here hoping it comes off the turf? Is this horse going to scratch? I mean, does anyone have some dirty little pig boy angle why this horse is in here?
I don't know. Maybe because Wesley Ward had relationships with different jockeys and they hadn't thrown the entire colony at it yet to ride it, which is ridiculous. I really don't know. I would, I'm of the mindset that you trust Steve Asmussen with, 5.5, 6 furlong sprinters and all things always. I mean, if it comes off, yeah, there is some off track pedigree. I don't know. But during my podcast yesterday, talking about the horse that won the Schuylerville, I said you had to play it because it was what the fuck are you doing here, horse? And then I, of course, forgot to play it or use it in any way. So maybe I use Bomb Diggity in that same angle.
I'm looking at the dam because the dam does pop out as that huge DPI number. So I'm trying to figure out who the sibling is. It looks like it's Caribbean Caper. That horse ring a bell to either of you guys?
Caribbean
Horse has won 5 times of 8 starts. All 8 starts were dirt sprints, but I'm not familiar with the horse person. Like, I don't know who the horse is.
Interesting. Yeah, I was trying to figure out why that DPI number was so high. But yeah, no turf winners from the dam. And I mean, like Into Mischief can run on anything, but Dixie Union definitely a dirt. So yeah, it's interesting. I have no idea. And I mean, I guess the only reason you ship a horse to Ward, right, it might be because it's a turf sprinter. I don't know. It's that's a really good point. So Charles thinks that it's probably try. Oh no, he's trying to catch a price with Tracy Ann's Legacy. That was kind of your horse there, right? Right, Chase?
Yep.
I do like that. Of the 2 horses Chase mentioned, I do think Tracy Ann's Legacy is probably the one I'm a little more interested in. It doesn't always show up, but has a couple races that are pretty decent on the turf sprints anyway.
And just life advice: don't get involved with any actual Tracy Ann's or go on any sort of capers with them.
Especially if they spell Tracy with 2 E's.
Oh, law laid down.
If this does get washed off, any opinions, dirt wise? I think the MTO, the 8 looks really, or one of the MTOs, the 8 looks pretty strong in this spot. But
I could see myself pivoting if the 8 stays in, but the 5 doesn't.
Yeah,
I could see that making that change there. But anyway, I think I kind of play it the same, especially if the 5 stays in too.
Yeah, I hadn't really capped her off track. I mean, the 8 will be tough, I think, if it comes off. But I think I'd probably still like the 5 a little bit. I mean, the horse has respectable dirt form. If they're both in, though, they could very well compromise each other's chances, and maybe Chase's bowl of cherries could come running late. So I'm not sure.
Yeah, my bowl of Josh's. Let's go.
That's a 0 cherry horse, though.
That is a 0 cherry horse. I bet the 3 cherry horse.
Man.
All right, race 8 here. We're going to be going 7 furlongs for fillies and mares, 3-year-olds and up. Maiden, $88,000 here. These are just Caleb's favorite types of races to handicap. Actually, sorry, these aren't 2-year-olds, so I think it's a little bit better. But Caleb, where did you end up kind of landing here?
Yeah, I don't have an opinion in this race really. The only way that if I even play this pick five, the only way I extract any value from it is if I single Lady Milagro in the last race. I had 6 horses written down in this race, and none of them are really strong opinions, to be honest with you. I guess I'll start with my lukewarm top pick in here, which is the number 8 Foxy Cara. This is a horse I've been chasing for a little while, so I'll admit that it could be a little bit biased in here. But I thought she ran like a horse that kind of just needed that start in her debut. Came back second time out over a sloppy track and ran a fine race. She was third best that day, but that race turned out to be pretty lively with the first and second place horse coming back to win next time out, including Angelique, who was the winner of that race for Todd Pletcher, who came to run a pretty nice figure in her second start in the first time against winners. I thought that race was pretty good. And then when she was stretched out to 7 furlongs at Belmont, she had legitimate trouble. I mean, she had to check pretty bad by another horse in that race and was actually re-rallying late on the outside despite, getting shuffled back by almost a dozen lengths at the stretch call. She didn't make up 2 positions and put a good run in. And then last time out, I just think a mile's a little too far. I've seen enough from this filly that I do think she has some ability and just needs to kind of find the right spot. These fields are probably a little bit tougher than what she was facing at Belmont, but I do think 7 furlongs is kind of where she wants to be. I thought she just flattened out a little bit at the mile last time out. And I think that, Castellano is sticking aboard. I mean, he's already had a hot start to the Saratoga meet so far. So I think Foxy Cara is probably a top pick of mine in here. But again, I don't have a very strong opinion. There's about half a dozen horses that I'll probably include on a ticket.
Yeah, I really like the 8 Foxy Cara as well. I will pull up the optics plot for this race. And you got the 1, 6, and 9, the first time starters. That nothing looking at their form or pedigree, their works or anything like that. At the form, not their form, but nothing really like stuck out for me on either of those. Maybe something on the 9, but really I'm basically, if I include the 9, it's basically on, hey, Irad decides to get on this horse when there's a bunch of other horses in this race that he could have hopped on, which I mean, if we would have taken some of that advice today, I think maybe made a little bit more money. So maybe not the worst angle, but it looks like the 8's just, plots out the best in this spot. Looks like to be the horse to kind of beat in here. And 5 to 1's a respectable number, I think, to get on this horse in this spot. So definitely my top pick in this race. Like I said, the 9 I might use a little bit just because you see Irad get aboard for Kelly Breen. He rides a couple of Kelly's horses, but not a ton. But that kind of piqued my interest a little bit. And then the other horse, if it does come up a little wet, I'm interested in this 5, Bonadou here, for Katie Davis and Danny Gargan. This is mud pedigree, top and bottom, with Go Zapper and Tiz Now. If you look at that last race, going 6 furlongs in the mud, the horse got bumped at the break and still ran a pretty respectable race, kind of chasing a very, very hot pace. So I think if gets a little bit of a slower pace in this spot, which seems pretty likely, I think that maybe this horse gets a little bit better trip. And clearly this horse's best race was that muddy track last time out. So I'm a little bit interested in the 5 as well if it comes up, but most of my money I think is going to be on this 8 and the 9. Chase, where did you kind of land?
Back.
All right, thumbs up. I see a thumbs up. Okay, you're back.
Yep. With bowl of Joshies and Tracy Wayne whatever her name is, in the first race. I think I pretty much like planted my flag of like I'm going for chaos here. So I took 4 horses in this maiden race that have just little angles that I like to play in maiden races, and hopefully I get lucky. The first is gonna be the 4 Montauk Mystique at 20 to 1. I think this is something I look for quite a bit. Are horses that have packed it in after the first start when they didn't make the lead to the first quarter. Um, I think that with the addition of blinkers, breaking from a more inside post as opposed to being 8 of 9, you could find Montauk Mystique on the lead, and the horse could get brave with Ricardo Santana Jr. No, he's sending, no thinky, just Cindy. Um, I use the 7 Sweet Liberty. I mean, you're putting the Lasix on and you're giving me a weight break. That's something that I'm usually going to take a look at, especially if it comes up wet. Pay attention to the weight that these jockeys are carrying through these tracks, because you'll kind of start to see trends pop up sometimes of either carrying more weight or carrying less weight can kind of get things done. And I use the 10 Ichiban because I kind of thought this one might could end up the speed of the speed here, and if that's the case, that's one to have in your back pocket. And the 11 Mim, I will summarize using a lyric from turn of the century rapper Mims. He's hot because he fly. You ain't because you not. This is why. This is why. This is why he's hot. No, I thought that Mims, has been progressing. Showed some off-track form, practical joke over a distorted humor mare. Should love the gross stuff. So I'm 4 deep there with Montauk, Mystique, Sweet Liberty, Ichiban, and Mims.
Caleb, you said you had like 4 other horses you liked in the spot, so I don't know if there's any other ones you want to touch on.
Yeah, I'll touch on a couple quickly. I guess kind of going off the couple horses Chase mentioned were a few of the ones I did have. Mim, I did kind of like in here. Ran a nice race last time out. I think this horse fits in here and makes a lot of sense. As well as Ichiban. Also, I saw the same thing Chase did, potentially speed of speed. And I'm always a sucker for the 1 mile to 7 furlong cutback. I mean, I always prefer a horse cutting back from a mile to 7 furlongs as opposed to a horse that's stretching out from 6 to 7. So I kind of agree with Chase there with Ichiban. Josh, I liked your horse, Nay Jude. I mean, someone brought up, I think it was Charles in the chat, that it seems like the first timers were firing today. It's one day. It doesn't necessarily mean anything, but it does, his point about, first timers being saved and then cranked for Saratoga. I mean, that makes a lot of sense to me. So I think you have to take any first time starter and, in this race.
Shippers from nowhere.
Yeah. I mean, the Monmouth shipper here that gets Irad Ortiz up, I think you have to take that horse pretty seriously.
Straight up ship from the birth canal. Let's go.
It is funny though, how Josh and I can, going to the 5 Bon Adeu. We like the horse, but for kind of opposite reasons. I mean, I kind of like this horse because I was assuming the track's going to be on the good side of muddy or the good side of fast, maybe not sloppy is what I'm getting at. Because I would argue that 3 out of the 4 starts, of her career have been on and off track, and 2 out of those 3 were terrible. The last one she ran okay. I mean, a lot better. But I'd probably argue maybe that only try on the fast track was probably her best effort. That came against a pretty decent field where Bavarian Cream and Lauchi came back to win next time out as well. So we kind of landed on the same horse, but for opposite reasons. I think I've seen enough of her over and off track that I'm not sure that's where she's best. So I'd be more interested in her if the track does come up good to fast as opposed to sloppy. But yeah, otherwise, the only other horse that I kind of looked at that we didn't talk about is the 1. Embraceable Gal. This is another Mark Hennig horse. I mentioned last week, and actually it was on the horse that I tipped for our article, which if you're not checking out, you should. Our new Saratoga 1 per day, 30 seconds or less spiel about why we're picking a horse. And 2 out of 3 of us were perfect today, Mark. But, so yeah, and for Embraceable Gal and Mark Hennig, his best stock typically comes from Windy Leia Farms. And, he gets Johnny V up just like he had today for Into Happiness. So you're getting the exact same connections, a horse that, Mark Hennig doesn't want a ton first time out, but he does have a positive ROI. So when he does tend to fire with one, you tend to get rewarded. So that's one I thought was kind of interesting. I don't love the rail draw there, especially if it's an off track, but That's another first time starter and who I thought was interesting, especially because it does feel like Mark Hennig's barn is just kind of heated up in general the last 2 weeks.
Yeah, I was actually a little interested, and I kind of checked this mid-streaming if you guys were looking at what I was doing, just because of what Charles said, talking about talking about these horses and like seeing like if any of them had scratched or anything like that, like Ichiban, and Ichiban definitely like stood out to me because it's a Linda Rice horse, and what did Linda Rice do? What happened to Linda Rice's horses that last weekend in Belmont? She wrapped up that training title, and all of a sudden, all her horses got vet scratched. So I was curious if this was one of those horses. The nice thing about Brisnet is you go to the index all the way at the bottom, and you can see was entered July 3rd, but it was scratched out because of an MTO. So wasn't necessarily the juicy Linda scratch I was hoping for, but what was one that recently got scratched there. But yeah, I think I think that Charles did bring up a good point, and you kind of touched on it with these firsters. Like, there's a real short break between Belmont and Saratoga, so very easy for them to just kind of save a horse for that one additional week to run at Saratoga. So maybe these firsters are loaded. I do see a lot of comments in the chat. I see in showing up here for the first time in a while. Welcome back. Nick Sievers is in chat. He says it looks like we may be missing rain. That it's raining now and it's going to be raining a little bit late tomorrow. So
question, Nick, how close do you live to the track? Because I found that the closer you live to the track, the fucking worse you get at predicting
okay.
weather somehow.
If you take Mark Capitan out of that rating, how does that change things?
Oh, you still have Andrew Capone bringing that mean down.
Cap
Way
called
down.
off the turf at like 4:30 this afternoon tomorrow, so we'll see.
That's fine.
Okay,
well, hey,
he's
in Sacramento,
Sac
so
Town.
so he's probably got it.
Yep.
He's probably got it nailed. So, John Massey talking about the one horse, Caleb, that you and I both liked, clothes from Schenectady. So definitely came from
Schenectady.
The clouds. Whatever.
Schenectady. Learn
Schenectady.
your
Is there a stakes race named after the town?
After the town Schenectady. That's a good point. So you probably don't need to know
exactly
it.
right. Is there
They
an
were
Albany
home of the
stakes?
first. They were the home of the first television state in the United States. I'll have you know, Schenectady. Suck it.
They have a Rivers Casino. That's all I know about it.
Yeah.
And I think our boy Kevin Strom is from Schenectady. So
yeah, and it sounds like a skin. So let's go.
There you go. I think we put that bit into the ground. So luckily Mark's not here to bury it even further. So congratulations to all the other horses we didn't talk about here for breaking their maiden. We'll move on to some stakes racing here. The Grade 3 Kelso. We're going to be going a mile on the inner turf. I will say one thing about Naira that I do really appreciate is when they have a stakes race that they know is complete bullshit, it is always like race 2 or race 3 on a card. You know, like they know where their bread is buttered, and they know that that's the late pick 5. So they put that shit right there. Bam, race 3 or 4. What is the Diana? Race 4, exactly. Out of everything, it's early pick 5. That's it, and that's just going to be, hey, guess which Chad Brown horse is going to win the race.
Yeah.
Gross.
Gross. That's fraud. How is this not fraud? I guess is my question. How is it? I mean,
oh my god, don't get me started.
This is the horse racing equivalent of just stuffing a bunch of like lead weights into a walleye and winning a boat for it.
Didn't that happen?
Yeah,
Didn't a bunch of guys just get like busted for cheating in fishing?
Yeah, dude. The video short of the judge like cutting the weights out of it and like being like real pissed off is pretty good, because there was like instant like you shamed your collie kind of, but you were just like, yeah, that's what's up.
Apparently, Schenectady tops the state for STDs.
All right,
there you go.
Yeah,
so
missed connections. No, fuck you. That was good.
Oh, actually, I did want to debut a new alert. I was typing this up. Caleb, this one's for you. All right. We earlier today in our group chat we were talking, and we have a pinned comment from Caleb from probably like 2 years ago now at this point that literally says, "Never let me skip another pick 5 again." And sure enough, today all week, all Caleb was talking about was how he wasn't going to play the card today. And sure enough, I put up my pick 5 tickets up at like 6 in the morning because I was catching the train, and Caleb was right behind me at about 7:30 with his early pick 5. So yeah, let's not kid ourselves here, Caleb. But yeah, so race 9 here, the Kelso. Glad that they left the BS guessing race out of the late pick 5. But this is a pretty good race. You get the return of Annapolis here. Your 8-5 favorite. I might hit the takeout reducer button here. But you got a couple of nice horses. You got the return of Casa Creed at 5-2, which is shocking that this isn't the favorite in this race in Annapolis is. And then you got Gunn as like a 3-5 MTO if this does come off. But much to everybody's surprise, I landed on the 3 Cherry horse in this spot, which is the 5 horse Big Everest here. And I did see Uncle Sully. He did say, "Is it just me, or are we 30 minutes in and no one has trashed Joel Rosario?"
Right on the 9.
And I'll tell you, man, I ain't trashing Joel Rosario. I believe, was he? No, he wasn't on Sea Cottage, was he? Who was on Sea Cottage?
That was Irad.
It was Irad. Okay.
Yeah.
But
Irad actually riding well on the front.
Yeah,
I know, right?
Yeah. Yep. And so you know what's going to happen is Joel's going to ride well on the front here on Big Everest. Yeah. Caleb had to finish his drink after this. He's got to get warmed up. But I don't know. This horse is coming in on some really, really good form. I know is a bit. I'm not gonna say questionable, but it's not a graded stakes horse necessarily, or hasn't been winning graded stakes races. But if you do go back 3 races, does have a nice win on the yielding turf going wire to wire, and was kind of why I landed on this horse. This is a horse that's got some proven form going over yielding turf. Has got 2 wins in at least on the PPs I can see on yielding turf. So with the amount of moisture that's going to be in the track. And I'm guessing we'll be yielding to good. I think Big Everest is in here with a big shot. Has done it on the front end on the wet track, and I just think that this is going to be a good spot for it. There's another speed horse to his inside, so being drawn outside of it, I think is a positive. I don't know. I just thought that looked really good. We pulled up optics. Looks like a little. Pretty sure it looks like a big old square there in Q1. Does have the 3 midday image, like I said, also there. But Q1 squares at Saratoga, especially on turf races, sign me up. So the 5 is basically my lone A in this spot. I am going to be fading Annapolis in this spot. Casa Creed, I think, does make some sense. Has won the 4-star Dave here last year. Has won sprinting, run going a mile. So I think Casa Creed coming in here with a little bit of condition after going overseas. I think will fire second time off. So I'll have Casa Creed on some tickets, but I am going to be playing mostly through the 5 Big Everest. Chase, where did you land?
I didn't want to use Big Everest. For one, I don't think that Rosario's got his fastball. And I think Clement knows it. And I think he's been pulling people off the bench for some of these starts lately. Like, it seems like he's spreading it out a little bit more. I didn't want to use Casa Creed because, boring. God, gross. So that put me on 2 horses. The first one, I'm going to call out the 7 Anaconda. Another one from off the pace. If this stays on the turf, then I definitely think that you have softer turf and it's going to chew up early speed. this horse has really performed well after the little pop from the all weather kind of fell off for him, but still won the elusive quality. Increased speed figures in the poker. I think could take another step forward after a drop and then two tiny steps, or a drop and then a tiny step up. And then my Anaconda don't want none unless it comes with the 6 Hun. I got Filo di Ariana as my other horse that I'm using here. There's one thing that I noticed in this past performances that has me engorged, and that is if we look at the July 3rd, 22 start at Woodbine. So a start on Tapeta, 2 races off, puts up a 99 and wins the King Edward at Woodbine. We've got a start on Tapeta, 1 back onto turf, and now due kind of for that cycle again here in the Kelso. So I think you really have to consider Filo di Ariana for Mark Cassie, and plus we've got somehow the least more heralded but lesser talented Ortiz on it for this one too.
Yeah, I guess for me, it's not all that complicated. I do really like Chase's picks, the 6 and 7. I would probably have them on like a backup ticket of sorts or something like that. And in a different, if this was a weaker running of the Kelso, I would really like them. But I feel like it came up kind of strong. I mean, you have multiple Grade 1 winner, Casa Creed in here. You have Annapolis in here, who is another Grade 1 winner. So the race came up pretty starchy. So for me, I think Annapolis is just too good for this field. I'm not really going to overthink this. This is the 4-year-old horse against what is largely a bunch of has-beens or older horses who probably aren't going to come up with a career top effort. Annapolis doesn't need a career top effort to win this. Simply running back to that race last out at Churchill is pretty much good enough to win. The race that he had at Keeneland and the Shadwell Turf Mile is good enough to win. He's very tactical. He can go to the front. He can close. I don't think the pace will be an issue for him at all. I do think the pace will get hot, which is kind of why I'm going away from Josh's horse, Big Everest. That and the fact that he's not any good kind of turned me off the horse a little bit. So, yeah, but Big Everest, I think him, Filo di Ariana, Midday Image, there's just too much speed in here. And Big Everest probably isn't that good even if it wasn't. So, not for me. I think Annapolis is going to be a short price, but is certainly a horse that controls his own destiny and has every right to take a step forward, second off the layoff here. So, I think it's him, and I don't really need anybody else.
You're not concerned about the kind of the, I mean, the speed figures seem to be going the wrong way for Annapolis. No concern there?
Not on time form. I mean, on time form, his last out start was he paired his career top. That's a race they have coded with a P designation, so pace adjusted because the pace was very slow. I mean, 21 or 24 and 1, 49 and 1 going a mile is on the slow side. So the fig came up slow, but the fact that Set Piece came out of that race to win next time out and kind of provided some credibility to the figure time form gave makes me think that that's probably a legitimate figure. Whereas Brisnet, not really adjusting for the pace, makes me think it's probably a little bit too slow. So, yeah, I think that, I don't know what happened in the Breeders' Cup Mile. Maybe he's just, not that good and that's fine, or too much too soon. But any other race on his, resume makes him a huge player in here. So, yeah, I'm going with Annapolis. As much as I do love Casa Creed, I wonder if the 7-year-old really has it in him to come back with another win at a distance that may not be his best.
Annapolis has that, like, everybody who's talking about horses on TV tomorrow while the races are running are just going to mush the fuck out of this horse kind of vibe to it. It's like, really talking up like Arrogate before the Pacific Derby kind of thing. That, and I don't know, like I said, it shows violence early.
Oh boy, the winners have showed up.
Woohoo!
Jared Bush is in chat, ready to let us know who's going to win all these races.
We could use some winners.
And we could use some winners. But luckily, hey, Mark failed the assignment day 1. So he obviously was not on stream today because only Caleb and I had winners on the day there in the article. So
we actually banned Mark from the stream tonight until he picks a winner.
Yep. Yeah, I don't know, man. There's probably no horse in training I hate more than Set Piece. So the fact that Annapolis beat Set Piece probably just makes me hate like the horse even less. So
Wouldn't you like him less if he beat Set Piece? Or like him
huh?
more, I mean, if he beat Set Piece?
No, because I mean it's just like that's like saying great, Set Piece ran third in that race. So that just tells you how bad that race was if Set Piece could run third in it. So
Like no one would
but
be impressed if I knocked out Ben Kingsley. You know what I'm saying? Like,
I mean, I'd be a little impressed to be honest with you.
yeah.
First of all,
It
because I
looks
don't know who Ben
wiry,
Kingsley
honestly.
is. Second of all, because you found him. So
Okay, fair.
you have to remember, Chase. If is Ben Kingsley in Moneyball?
That's a good point.
And if he's
I've
not in
confused you for
Moneyball,
liking.
there's-
Never
Yeah,
seen it.
I've confused you for liking movies for the fact that you just like the film Moneyball and have seen it a million times.
yeah. I probably watch as many films as everybody else does, like the average American does. The only difference is it's only Moneyball. So so this would be interesting race here. Anything else? I mean, Caleb, you're straight with just those two, or with Annapolis.
Really just Annapolis.
Yeah, Chase, you like the 6 and the 7 here, and not just because of the Sir Mix-a-Lot lyrics there.
That's true.
Okay, and then I am on the 5 and the 8. So hopefully we don't manage to go 6 wide, not having any horses in common, or 5 wide, not having any horses in common, and still whiff, like Andrew Champagne and I did on on the stakes race today, where Gary Contessa decided to just I don't know what the fuck that race was, but
Which, by the way, like I'm really not used to coming back to do these streams, and everyone has different opinions on different horses to use. Like I don't know what to do when I'm not agreeing with you guys for an hour and a half.
yeah.
We'll still hug afterward, don't worry.
Apparently Ben Kingsley was Gandhi. Isn't that a little bit of whitewashing?
Yes, most definitely.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Let's take a look in chat, see if we see anything else. See Money telling us, making sure don't take your engorgement down to Schenectady. So once again, giving us great Schenectady facts there. John Massey mentioning that speed can be good on wet turf because closers lose burst. As inside tears up, closers better. Ask channel maker about yielding turf speed. Caleb, please ask channel maker. Put the damn hat on.
And if he answers, tell the fucking news because a horse just talked.
And then I think Uncle Sully said Chase Rosario lost his fastball. That dude's been Tim Wakefield.
This is a good point. Rosario is a junk pitcher. It's he's lost his control. I think actually he's just lost his I don't know. I think he died of empathy just months ago.
David Barista says when you throw a sick knuck, that fastball keeps him off balance. So
that's right. That's 70-mile-per-hour fastball piping down the middle.
Yeah, he's definitely kept a couple people off balance here. Charles likes a 2, 5, and 8. That is Annapolis, Big Everest, and Casa Creed. So he's taking a little bit of chalk here, but I mean I don't know, man. Charles knows his stuff. So Nick Sievers is also singling Annapolis here. Uncle Sully, with the preface here, my goodness, race 10 looks like a cluster. Real races that Caleb hates handicapping, 2-year-old stakes races early in the year. So we got the Sanford, the grade 3. We all just got boomed by a first-time starter in the first 2-year-old stakes race of Saratoga. So how do we get boomed here? Only time will tell. But you do have a full field here. Looks like we got 10 horses showing up here. Caleb, where did you land?
Yeah, I mean, this is one of those races where, like, I hate these races. I hate spring, summer, 2-year-old stakes races. And every horse looks the same to me in here. Yeah, I mean, Gold Sweep looks like he's going to be tough in this field. But it just feels like every year the Sanford looks like there's one horse that is just a standout and some 25-1 horse jumps up and beats him. Like every year that happens. And it
doesn't Gold Sweep just feel like a fade after the horse breaks its maiden in a stakes race and then now is facing winners as a winner for the first time? Like, I feel that just feels like
the horse was not favored as a maiden, ran a good second objectively, went favored in a listed stakes at 4-5, not just favored but odds on, and wins by 9. with a big figure to be sure. But this is more of a maybe just like game theory kind of angle. But this horse is going to be on everybody's ticket. I think 2-year-old stakes races are just a recipe for calamity. And given the fact that I see Annapolis and a few others is pretty tough to beat, I don't need this horse. If this horse wins, I'm okay with not having him because that's a pick 5 that I don't need if it pays $150. So I'm throwing out Gold Sweep in here, even though I recognize that on paper he's absolutely the horse to beat. And I'm going with kind of back to the well with an old school angle of mine, which is 2-year-old horses that are proven to pass other horses. So the two that sort of fit the bill for me is the number 1, Call the Cavalry, and the number 7, Triple Treya. I'll start with the former, Call the Cavalry, because I think that's probably the more likely of the two. This is a horse that raced rather professionally at debut here at Belmont, just downstate. Missed the break a little bit, but was able to get a good position, made the move going into the far turn, and then was able to win pretty convincingly. I mean, the horse took money that day, went off just over 3-2. So clearly there was, some expectations here, and this is not Kentucky. For Kenny McPeak horse to take that kind of money at Belmont, it had to be relatively well meant, especially when you consider that he attracted Irad Ortiz to take the mount. So Irad sticks in here. This is a horse that looks very professional, and that first race to second race is oftentimes like the biggest step forward for a lot of these horses. When we saw it with the favorite, who ran an okay race on debut, and then a very good race second time out in that stakes company at the Tremont. So I'm kind of expecting similar improvement for a lot of these horses that have only had one start. So I like Call the Cavalry in here. It's probably my top pick. The other one I did like as well, though, is Triple Treya, who is another who came from even further off the pace. This is probably more of your typical one-run closer type of a horse in here. I do think Luis Saez getting up is likely to make this horse be a little more forwardly placed. But I like the fact this horse also, is able to come off the pace, pass other horses. I know that he did it at Woodbine, but clearly connections think highly of this horse if they're going to ship the horse from Canada down to Saratoga and put him in a graded stakes race. I think the intentions are pretty well meant. The horse did take money on debut, going off at just under 7 or just over 7-2. And the race at Woodbine came back being pretty decent. I mean, the horse that Triple Treya beat, Bucky, or I don't know how you would say that. I'm going to call it Bucky.
Is that Baychok?
Bucyk.
Oh, there's a U in there?
Yeah, Bucyk.
It's not an abbreviation. That's the horse's full name.
I think it is, yeah.
All right, owners, get your shit together.
I mean,
tighten this up,
better.
man.
Be better.
Be better.
Whoever this horse is, they came back to win. And I mean, that's always nice to see that there was some quality in that field. And it wasn't like this horse was a part of a race that just absolutely, completely fell apart, because, the speed kind of hung around in that race, finishing 3rd and 4th. So I think this horse has some ability, not like a super strong conviction play here. If I do play a pick 5 and I'm going against the big favorite Gold Sweep, I don't want to be right that Gold Sweep is vulnerable and not have the right horses. So I will be pretty spread in here, but the 1 and the 7 are probably my top picks.
Apparently it's pronounced Bucyk.
That sounds like a dollar store sports center catchphrase. Bucyk. Like a booyah almost. You can boo me. Hit the boo button, Josh. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. I got you. But who did you like here, Chase?
Caleb already touched on one, which is a Triple Treya. That's coming off of the Tapeta at Woodbine, and I'm going to blow your mind with this one because I dug deep. I'm moving one up to Ramming Speed, coming off of the chopped up tires at Presque Isle Downs. What I find interesting about this one is the horse has only run at 4.5 furlongs. We can say the horse hadn't really passed anybody, but I mean, the horse was back a length and a half at the first call in a 4.5 furlong race. They only went 23 seconds in the opening quarter, and the horse closed to win. That feels a little bit impressive when you think about the confines of it. I mean, there's not a ton to talk about pedigree wise, other than the mare's been really productive, dropping 5 winners out of 6 to make the gate. I think these are two that kind of fit what Caleb was talking about, because I'm with them. Like, I always think it's going to be some Asmussen super horse to win the Sanford, and then little Sebastian gallops his heart out from the second layer of clouds to win it. So yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and take Ramming Speed and Triple Tray and hope that those are those horses.
Yeah, I took a first pass at this and I was like, all right, gold sweep, easy A, just move on. But I also remember, just I swear to God, every single one of these 2-year-old stakes races, you get a horse that's like comes in with two races and like looks like he won a stakes race coming into this race, and then just lays a complete egg. I think I'm agreeing with you, Caleb, especially on this one, Call the Cavalry. This was kind of the other horse I kind of looked at, and will probably be one I use maybe even more than the 9 in this spot. And I mean, I think you kind of said all that really needs to be said. Bobbled after the break a little bit, got had to make up a little bit of. Didn't completely miss the start, but wasn't the best of starts, and obviously still passed horses. Looked pretty professional, winning by 2 lengths. And yeah, gets IRAD aboard. When there are plenty of trainers in here that IRAD, you've seen him ride for, and the fact he gets on the Kenny McPeak horse is just kind of, I don't know, a little interesting. So I really like the 1 in this spot. Obviously, I think the 9. I mean, the 9 makes total sense, and I'll probably end up using still. But yeah, I think it's probably just 1-9 in this spot, and you kind of move on. But anything else you guys want to talk about in this one?
I mean, you don't move on because you use none of the horses that I mentioned, but we will move on.
Okay. David Brees is actually asking about the Lucas horse, the 10 Market Street here. You guys give this one a look at all?
It's so hard to trust Dwayne Lucas with 2-year-olds. So hard.
Not for me. I didn't play a ton of Ellis, but I played more of it than I do Churchill. And boy, did it seem like if you made the lead, you won. Especially on the dirt sprints, and especially when it was sloppy. So I think this horse had a very soft trip against a bunch of other 2-year-olds, and had everything his own way. I don't think that's going to happen again, and that's a pretty tough post to wire a field from. So not for me, but I mean anyone who's not the 9. I mean, I'm not going to tell you not to use. So
I do need to come up with a new alert for a race that is like definitely the race that's gonna bust you out of the pick 5, Caleb, where you just fade like a 3 to 5.
That's probably fair.
We'll come up with one, but it's all right. You didn't want that $4,000 or whatever this thing's gonna be anyways. All right, that leads us to the payoff leg here. Race 11, going 5.5 furlongs here on the turf. And I think this is another race that is fully subscribed. It's got a bunch of empty. It's got a couple AEs. I think the 1A and the 13 are AEs. 14 is an MTO. Chase, how are we closing this out? How are we cashing here?
It's so hard to pick ahead of time when you don't know who's going to be in the race and what the pace looks like. So once again, I'm just kind of going back to the angles I like here. The 4 flat box top at 9-2. Another one that looks like a need the lead horse that's not made the lead yet. The 7 Party with Smarty at 50-1. Weight break can be dangerous on the sloppy track. Top line, you got Smarty Jones. Bottom line, you got Ghost Sapper. I kind of like this one to maybe catch a flyer early and send. And then I use the 12 Bailly Lounge, first time Lasix for Bill Mott. And I'm going to include the 13, the AE, because we're losing the blinkers, adding the Lasix.
Ooh, David's actually got a good name for your alert, the lose and don't care alert.
I like that.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
The loose and don't care. Shout out, Mark.
Oh, that's good.
That is funny. So the four flat top box you think is kind of a speed horse that just hasn't gotten the lead yet. You said the 7, Party with Smarty, and who was your other pick, Chase?
It was Party with Smarty, and then it was the I believe the 11. Let me get back to the page. Whew, navigated away. Oh, I found it. Found it. It was the 12 and 4, 7, 12, and 13.
12 and 13. Yeah, I
Yep.
really like that 12 Bay Lounge. This is a plus move for Bill Mott, finally putting in Lasix on the horse. And you just assume, well, at 2-year-olds can't get Lasix, so 3 getting Lasix, American Pharaoh, turf sprinting. I don't know. This does make a lot of sense here on the cutback. So I really do like this 12. I have it marked down as a B, but very much could be an A. The 2 horses I really liked the most were well, I was gonna say post inside, but technically the 1 is in post position 6. But the 1 and the 2, Beer Run for Wesley Ward, obviously going to be getting on the rail. Looks to be clear cut speed here. I don't know what price we're going to get, and this horse is probably going to be super short in this spot, especially if this stays on the turf. But I just think that this is the horse that's going to be on the lead, and I think the 1 is probably got the best shot to kind of stay just off of that horse, or maybe duel a little bit there, and maybe whoever wins that duel up between the 1 and 2 just hangs on. But I do also like the 12 here, who I don't think is going to get the lead. Is going to have to is got route speed, doesn't necessarily have sprint speed, so I think is going to have more of a pressing type trip, but might get first run on the 1 and 2. So I'm 1, 2, 12 here. Caleb, where did you land?
Yeah, I got to agree with our friend Jared Bush here that I think Beer Run wins this race. It's not a sexy pick, it's not a clever pick, but yeah, I just think this horse fits. From the rail, Johnny V pretty much has no choice other than to send. Yeah, horse just got beat last time out by another who came from pretty far off the pace after taking on all comers and putting away the other speed horses that day. The cut back from 6 to 5.5, I think, is going to be big for this horse, as well as the third time out. So I do think Beer Run is the horse to beat in here, and it'll probably be like a single A type of horse for me. I kind of went back and forth on the 12 horse, Bay Lounge. I wasn't sure what to do with him. Like on numbers, the horse absolutely fits, especially when you consider that those figures were earned in the fall of his 2-year-old season, and now it's summer and he's a 3-year-old. I mean, any improvement on paper makes him an absolute handful in here. But it also kind of goes against some of my own handicapping preferences in the sense that I kind of hate betting route speed horses on turf sprints, like route E8 kind of horses going to a turf sprint, especially 5.5 or 6 furlongs. I mean, if it was 7 at Belmont, that might be different, but there's almost no chance this horse gets the lead. And I don't know if this horse knows how to win off the lead. I mean, something clearly went wrong. The horse missed a lot of time. They gelded him. They're adding Lasix now. They're bringing him back here. So there's a lot of questions to answer. The post is not great. These outside posts at Saratoga turf sprints are very difficult to win from. And I could see this horse being second choice. So I don't know what to do with him. I think there's things to like, but there's also things that scare me a little bit. So I really ended up with the 2 Beer Run as my top pick. And then the horses that I'm looking to, really the only horse that I kind of want to use behind him or with him anyway, to a lesser degree, is the number 3 Cigarette Boat. That's like a awful but equally awesome name, Cigarette Boat. And then also, this is a horse that ran a really nice race at Turfway. Was kind of up on the front, stuck inside of a bunch of other horses, which historically is not the best place to be at Turfway. Made a bid and then just kind of got out finished on the inside. But I thought that was a nice race. It came back at Keeneland on the dirt and just didn't really quite just seem to be the same horse. But Mike Maker does, good work with horses going dirt to turf. There's plenty of turf pedigree here to think this horse may have some ability. And I'm just at 15 to 1. I think this horse kind of has some upside relative to others in this field. It should get a comfortable trip and with a decent draw, save some ground, and maybe kind of sits third and can run down, beer run late if he happens to get a little bit tired. So I like the 2 on top, and maybe the 3 is kind of underneath play.
A cigarette boat is an actual type of boat, right?
No, I think it's just a cigarette boat down this river.
I just thought it was like when I was a kid, I thought it was a boat sponsored by Joe Camel or something, but like no, it's like a speedboat. It's a crazy like long fast speedboat.
I thought it was a boat that like left the dock and just never came back.
Yeah, Josh, who's never watched anything, wouldn't get it, and you're too young for Miami Vice, Caleb. So
no love for the dad going to get a pack of cigarettes in the cigarette boat and
on a boat.
I don't listen to things that other people say. Mostly, I just kind of hear the echoes of what I say.
Is that from the doing podcast by yourself? Just
no, I have engaging dialogue. I'm not saying one's better than what I'm doing here or anything, but yeah.
David's killing me with these messages. He said a 30 rack of Bush can fetch you a higher ROI than any pick 5 because he was specifically talking about people at Saratoga. Do they sell beers out of their coolers, or do they pay the $12 for the Miller?
You get the camo cans with the Bush. I mean, it's a pretty good deal,
dude.
There you go.
One of my favorite holidays is whenever the Miller High Life camo cans roll out for the year.
Yeah, not the like around Christmas when they actually like cork the High Life in the champagne bottles.
No, definitely not. Definitely the camo cans because it means that there are people out in the woods drinking beer and playing with guns.
There you go. All right, well that's gonna do it for this pick 5. Was there anything else you guys want to talk about? I mean, we actually look at this once again. Mark is not here, and we get through this in record time. Chase, you might have missed this, but I believe Caleb, myself, and Caitlin Free covered four Ascot races, which have like 20 horses each in faster time than when we have Mark, and we cover like 6 horse fields at Saratoga. So, we appreciate you being here, timely, on top of everything, ready to go with your picks. But you have a lot of content coming out, Jace. What do you got going on?
Oh, I mean, I'm doing the podcast and Notorious OTB. I'm doing that about 3 times a week. Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, typically. I've got an episode that I just recorded with Barry Spears a little bit before that I'm going to be editing and putting up shortly. Doing that, and then I'm always with the Big Galoot, the whole Buffalo XFL gym. Doing the gymnasium and our Pick Sports show on Sundays or Fridays, and then also we got our college football show where we're doing all of our conference previews, and then we'll do games on Saturday mornings.
What about spring league or Japanese football? Is that done?
I think they're going right now. It's Ryder Dave talked about this. Like, apparently it's really hard to get any sort of images out of Japan just because they know that we'll rip on them mercilessly. So I don't know what's going on. There is talk of like maybe trying to go to Japan for some XFL stuff, or sorry, X League stuff, which would be. I don't think I'm ready for it. I really, honestly, don't think that I'm ready for other cultures.
Trisha asking if anybody hit the late pick 5 at Saratoga today. I think if any of us hit the late pick 5 at Saratoga, because they paid what
30,
mountains,
000?
right? Yeah, I don't think any of us would be doing this show.
Yeah, I might pop in to just eat my ass world, but like that's about it.
I do recording.
Just leave that invitation, and then
the hood of a stretch Hummer limo down Bourbon Street. But.
Yeah,
that's all.
Caleb's like
half Escalade at this point.
Caleb's like, I'm going to Harrah's. See you guys later.
You'll have enough to pay Rebirth Brass Band to just follow you around the outside of the Harrah's on Canal Street.
That's right.
30,000 is about how much you need to be able to play table games at Harrah's in New Orleans, from what I hear, what the limits.
Yeah, it's steep. So, it is steep in New Orleans, which makes no sense.
Yeah. And then I do want to shout out our boy Nick Sievers, 4 Coors Lights for $40. Nick Sievers, he's doing stuff with racing dudes. I've seen him do a couple things, like their late
Nick,
night.
Right? Other Nick, Feldman, right?
Oh yeah, with Nick Feldman too. Yeah, Nick and Nick. Both of them are doing stuff with racing dudes, so make sure you check them out.
Get it.
Obviously, Jared Bush is giving you all the winners all the time. So you can find him usually in chat on our friend Papo's stream. which usually runs during the day. So make sure you guys check out. Oh my goodness, what is it called?
The shake
The
up.
Shake
Shake
Up.
Up.
The Shake Up. So check out the Shake Up with Papo. We have a lot of the same chatters in there. And I just want to shout out all the people in chat. We had probably more chat messages we had in like the last month. So appreciate you guys coming out, chatting. Love always talking horses with you guys. And then we will be doing. We'll be doing this every Thursday. Obviously, we still have Drank and Champagne. We covered the opening late pick 5, where I think I gave out a couple of nice price horses. Unfortunately, we weren't able to put it all together. Joe Marcello.
Yeah, with the one comment of the
Boom.
stream.
Yeah, Joe Marcello comes in and says, "Shout out, keep pounding." So got to put that up there.
And by the way, you tell Andrew he's got a problem with me. He doesn't want to show up on these streams. Then he can meet me down on the streets and we can hash this out.
He big time.
He's huge, isn't
he's
he?
in the papers now.
He's actually like a physically like huge human being, right?
yes,
he's like
yes.
6'3",
All right.
4.
He can take it down the
6'5",
streets, and I will
I
yell
think.
at him from a second-story window.
Yeah, he's taller than I am, which just frightens me. Yeah. Oh, poor Nick saying no mark, lots of chat. But yeah, that's going to do it for us. So obviously check us out at ontherwronglead.com, where we've actually posted something for the first time. Let's see if we can make it 2 days in a row and get something posted tonight or tomorrow morning. We will have, we're going to try and give, our best bet for the day up there. And we're going to kind of track it. We're going to see how we do. I've never really done anything like this. I don't think any of us have. But kind of just see how we do with that. Caleb off to a humongous start. I think that was like a $28 win place, if I remember correctly, Caleb. So congratulations on that, stealing my horse. But hey, I also had a winner, even if it didn't pay that much. But yep. Check us out at ontherwronglead.com at wrong_lead. Obviously, like, subscribe, hit all the buttons here, hit the air horn, and we will catch you guys later.